When Okarun transforms using his yokai powers, does his personality change? Do you think he becomes a different person entirely? I surely got that impression. But what if his transformation was actually amplifying something that was already hiding inside? Think about it. In his normal state, Okarun constantly thinks he's going to fail, that things won't work out, and that he's not good enough. In the second episode, he's convinced he doesn't deserve friendship. He tells Momo this.
You live in a totally different world than I do. Folks like me shouldn't talk to folks like you.
This goes beyond low self-esteem. He's completely rejecting his own worth as a person. These thoughts consume him, but he mostly keeps them locked inside. When he transforms, those same negative thought patterns don't disappear. They just get redirected outward as self-depreciation. It's his suppressed inner thoughts finally breaking free. The transformation doesn't solve his psychological problems. It amplifies them. His self-doubt becomes a form of negative confidence. The power gives him a voice, but the voice is fundamentally negative. This is why early in the series, transformed Okarun can be comically unpleasant. He's not being corrupted by evil spirits, but just expressing the toxic internal monologue he's been carrying all along. And while most anime protagonists get stronger, look cooler, and maybe acquire new powers, they are essentially the same person with better stats. But what if the problem was never about being weak? What if insecurity stems from something much deeper? The stories we tell ourselves about our own worth. Okarun's story is an exceptional portrayal of how confidence isn't about power, and that it's actually the other way around. Welcome to a series called Understanding Dandadan. My name is Kepler, and today we're talking about how the story portrays confidence and how it relates to Okarun. What happens when a character with no confidence gets all the power he needs in the first chapter? Will he solve all his problems? Or will he still make the same mistakes? Understanding Okarun means understanding what real confidence looks like. Because the actual change Okarun goes through isn't about how the world sees him, but about how he sees himself. This is where Dandadan writing gets clever. Instead of just giving Okarun supernatural powers and calling it character development, the story forces him to confront his internal barriers. Yes, he gets power and looks cooler, but the real transformation is happening inside. But to get to that point, Okarun needed to overcome his greatest flaw, to manage his insecurities, redirect his energy, and most importantly, stop assuming he knows what other people think about him. One of Okarun's biggest character flaws early on is his tendency to make assumptions about what other people think about him, especially that they think poorly of him. This is actually a common cognitive distortion called mind reading. It's when you assume you know what someone else is thinking without any real evidence. In Okarun's case, he consistently assumes the worst, that he's not good enough, that people don't want him around, and that he's bothering others. Most of us do this to some degree. We create entire narratives in our heads about what other people think of us, usually based more on our insecurities than on reality. Okarun's journey shows us what it looks like to break free from this pattern. The turning point comes in a scene many viewers overlook, when Okarun transforms without realizing it because a student speaks rudely about Momo. This moment is crucial because it marks the first time his transformation isn't triggered by external threat or conscious decision. His anger takes over and something fundamental shifts in his psychology. For the first time, his negative inner mind redirects from self-destruction toward a goal-oriented action. Instead of "I'm worthless and everything will fail," his internal voice becomes "I won't let anyone disrespect someone I care about." This represents a psychological breakthrough. The assumption that things won't work out begins to transform into protective instincts and genuine care for others. This is why his behavior while transformed gradually becomes less toxic and more heroic. And naturally, Okarun becomes more confident and attractive as the series progresses. He stops letting his assumptions control his behavior and starts to think about what and who is important to him. And that change is very noticeable in the way he handles jealousy around Gigi. Initially, Okarun's reaction to Gigi is textbook insecurity. He sees this confident, socially adept guy who has a story with Momo, and his immediate response is to assume he's already lost. Classic catastrophic thinking. His mind jumps straight to the worst possible outcome. But here's what's brilliant about how this plays out. Instead of wallowing in jealousy or becoming possessive, Okarun makes a conscious choice to redirect that emotional energy into self-improvement. We are looking at a recognized psychological technique. When you feel jealous, you have a few options. 1, you can let it consume you. 2, you can try to control the other person. Or 3, you can use it as information about what you value and work on yourself accordingly. Okarun, perhaps without realizing, chooses the healthiest option. He starts focusing on being the kind of person who can be there when people need him. Not to compete with Gigi, but because he recognizes this as a quality he wants to develop. The jealousy becomes a catalyst for growth rather than a source of toxic behavior. We are seeing emotional maturity that's rare in fictional characters. Instead of "I need to beat that guy," his mindset becomes "I need to become someone worth choosing." What's even more sophisticated is that his approach actually works, not because it's a manipulation tactic, but because genuine self-improvement makes you more attractive as a person. Okarun becomes someone people want to be around, and all of that without challenging Gigi. He wins even though he never chose to compete. Now let's address something that comes up in discussions about Okarun's development: the desire to become cool like him. This is where I think we need to be careful about what lessons we take from his character arc. The thing is, Okarun never actually tries to become cool in the conventional sense. He doesn't start dressing differently. He doesn't adopt a new personality, and he doesn't try to impress people with false confidence. His transformation is much more fundamental than that. What actually makes Okarun appealing isn't coolness, it's authenticity combined with genuine care for others. He becomes attractive because he's genuinely kind, reliable, and present in his relationships. Those aren't cool traits in the traditional sense, but they are incredibly valuable human qualities. This is important because chasing coolness often leads to performative behavior, trying to be someone you're not to impress others. That kind of facade is exhausting to maintain and rarely leads to genuine connections. Okarun's approach is the opposite. He becomes more of himself, just a sharper version. What people are really attracted to is genuine engagement and emotional availability. When Okarun stops being consumed by his own insecurities, he has more mental and emotional energy to invest in understanding and caring about the people around him. This is why his relationship with Momo deepens over time. It's not because he becomes cool enough for her. He becomes emotionally present enough to actually see her as a full person rather than an impossible ideal. Okarun's growth isn't marked by dramatic moments of heroism, though those happen too. It's built on countless small interactions where he chooses to be kind, reliable, and present. He shows up when momos need him. He listens when people talk. He offers help without making a big deal about it. This reflects a mature understanding of how relationships actually work in real life. In real life, trust and affection are built through consistent small actions over time, not through occasional dramatic gestures. Okarun intuitively understands this and focuses on being consistently dependable rather than occasionally spectacular. What's particularly smart about his approach is that it is sustainable. Anyone can make a grand gesture once in a while, but consistently showing up for people requires you to become the kind person who naturally thinks about others. This is why Okarun's popularity grows gradually through the series. People start to recognize him as someone they can count on for everyday emotional support and friendship. That kind of reputation is much more valuable and lasting than being known for flashy heroics. The lesson for anyone looking to apply this in their own development is that small, consistent improvements in how you treat people will have a much bigger impact than trying to engineer impressive moments. So how do we apply Okarun's approach to personal development in real life? The key is understanding that it's not about becoming someone else. It's about removing the barriers that prevent you from being your best self. First, start noticing when you're making assumptions about what others think about you. Most of the time, these assumptions are more about your own insecurities than about reality. Practice asking yourself, do I actually know this person thinks this about me, or am I just assuming? Second, focus on small, consistent actions rather than trying to engineer dramatic changes. Instead of trying to become cool, focus on becoming reliable, kind, and present. These qualities are much more valuable in building genuine relationships. Third, redirect negative emotions like jealousy or insecurity into self-improvement energy. Instead of wallowing in these feelings, use them as information about what you value and what you want to work on. Finally, remember that authentic confidence comes from competence and genuine care for others, not from trying to perform a confident persona. Work on development, real skills, and genuine interest in other people around you. The beautiful thing about Okarun's character development, it shows us a path to growth, both psychologically realistic and emotionally satisfying. That's a kind of character development that translates directly into real life, and it's why Okarun's story resonates with so many people who are working on their personal growth journey. Let me know what you think about Okarun's development in the comments. Until next time.